Hello, everybody. Hi, there we are. New button setup. I like it, though. It works good when you memorize the pattern to press. And memorized it. So hi. Welcome back. So, as we had left off, you guys were literally walking into the throne room. Before we actually speak to the queen, though, there's a little bit of something I'm make sure everybody understands. I mentioned that this room was filled with high nobles, and the queen herself, as well as a bunch of guards, right? But what makes a high noble, or a noble in general, in Malta? Why is she the queen after her grandfather passed? Fun fact, her parents are still alive. So in Malta, the ruling class, the higher-ups, are actually a small number of families. It's about 24 families that exist in this nation. There are 24 families of certain sorceress bloodlines. You see, back when Malta, many years ago, splintered off from the nation of Galdaria, don't need to worry too much about those details. When they splintered off from the nation of Galdaria, they did so because they were magical and kind of being suppressed by the non-magic people. And they were like, no, we're going to do our own thing. And so it was like a big family, multi-family decisions to do this. And so these bloodlines became the ruling class over everybody else that chose to come with them. People that were interested in learning magic and pushing that forward and making that the forefront of their society. And it just stayed that way. Which family happens to be in charge of the actual throne? Well, that can shift over the course of generations, depending on many factors. So why is she the queen when her parents are still alive? You see, to be the king or queen of a Malta requires you to not only be the child of a descendant of the current ruling family, that's the primary line of succession. You also have to be born of the sorceress bloodline without magic. So that means that in this room here, all these nobles, very likely everybody here was born with magic in their blood. Everybody here, to some degree or another, can cast spells, whether it's raw and innate or it's trained and deadly, whatever the case may be. Except the actual queen sitting on the throne. She was born incapable of learning to cast magic. She doesn't have it in her blood. And that's unfortunately just how it is for her. But fortunately, hey, we gave her the throne. Should there be a time where nobody of the ruling family, not a single living family member, happens to be somebody that doesn't have doesn't have magic in their blood, that would then just pass on through the lines of succession to which other family would be next, or which other one after that, out of the other sorceress bloodlines. Because there's always at least one person amongst those 24 or so families that doesn't have magic in their blood. There are telltale signs, genetic markers, and certainly tests they put them through. But one of the reasons why they did this is while the people that left and formed Malta wanted to make magic in the forefront of society, they wanted to be a magical nation, they couldn't forget about everybody else that left Galdaria and came with them. They come from other nations to come there. The people that never learned to cast spells or are also incapable of doing so also need to be represented. So while her entire council is made out of mages and sorcerers and so on, she herself, or he himself, should be king, also represents the people that can't, because they themselves can't. And it just makes like a nice little balance between, the different peoples there. So as you come walking into this room, understanding that literally everybody here, except for maybe the queen, can cast spells, makes sense why you're going to have so many people standing on the steps there that happen to be Presidio trained. People that are going to protect the queen. Who knows? Maybe somebody's like, hey, it's time for my line of succession, or some crap like that, right? Some usurper. So anyways, when you guys go walking into the throne...
Scott, can I do a lore check to try to pinpoint prominent people that may be here?
Actually, you can, and as can Doxy.
I was gonna say, have I spent time with any of these people?
I was gonna say all three of you can roll this check. However, it's gonna be different DCs for each of you based off of your backgrounds, right?
Mm-hmm. I have cultural, historical. Which one?
Historical would make more sense here.
Okay.
For what you're saying.
Should I roll?
Can I instead just perceive to see if I see anybody that I know personally. Like,
yeah, instead of necessarily knowing the importance of all the people
yeah,
here.
I'm just looking for folks that like are military that I know that I've trained with and things like that. I'm not looking for noble folk because I don't know them. Period. Like I just don't.
You're perfectly fine. You're welcome to just do a perception for that. Doxy, you're also rolling an intelligence check. If you don't have a focus on something like that, then just roll a flat intelligence check.
I'd like to also remind you about my my talent of lore. I get more information for lore rolls than would otherwise get.
And you also rolled 3 stunt points. So we're going to do this in order. Sir, you rolled a total of a 15. You get a little more info because of your talent, and you have 3 stunt points, which you're going to use to...
All right, I have to look at the stunt points.
Yep, we all have to keep that tab open. This is going to be...
Yeah.
It's going to be more exploration or role-playing.
Okay.
You rolled 3, I think? 3's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Let's see. I think it would be exploration. You said so. Advantageous positioning. That makes me wonder. You can immediately make a perception test. And I'm sorry, there's another one. I can immediately make another perception test at no additional cost of time or resources to discover more information about my surroundings.
Sure,
So
you can definitely do a second roll and just with like kind of like almost kids on bike style roll on a roll. Sure. And then we'll get to the next person after you're done. Because Doxy also rolled just as well as you did.
Yeah, I don't have any focuses that would relate to this in perception.
Nope,
so.
You're perfectly fine. So this is what you're going to get with your total of a 15 for your historical lore check. And then your additional your total of a 14 for a stunts check. Just so people understand the DCs of what we're looking at. And again, I'm sorry I'm explaining so much by way of rules. It's just important for everybody to learn this kind of stuff. So, sorry, let me click this over here, and then bam, maybe you guys can kind of read that. Maybe not. It looks weird to read. A little difficult to read, but so routine checks are going to DC 7, easy 9, average 11, challenging 13, hard 15, formidable 17, imposing 19, nigh impossible 21. So you beat a hard and a challenging, plus you get a little bit of dabbles of extra. Moving on. So what you're going to do when you look around the room, sir, about these peoples of importance, is that you can see, in fact, that everybody in this room right here is of high nobility. These are representatives of each of the ruling families are here. One representative of each of the ruling families happen to be here. Maybe not necessarily the highest person of that family, but perhaps a child or a sibling or a nephew, whatever it might be. One representative of each of the high ruling families. Why they're here? I mean, who knows? Who knows whatever it is that she's going to ask or say to you. Maybe they just want to take a look at who it is that she personally wanted to summon from throughout the area. Maybe the fact that you are here. They're interested in you. You don't know. But one thing does stand out as strange to you. Little bits of additional information. There's one particular person you would definitely expect to be here right now. That is not, which is strange. It's actually the primary military advisor to the Queen herself. It's, you know of him as Savant Heathgart. That's Augustine Heathgart is her primary military advisor. He's not here. Perhaps he's off handling something else that might be more important, whatever the case may be, but that's a little unusual because he'll usually stand at her side, person that might be military related. And there's literally a master Venator standing like right behind you about to be told something, so who knows. Other than that, I would say nothing particular really jumps out at you. Little bits of information about these characters, but nothing that really pertains to this moment, right?
Okay.
Doxy, you're actually third, so we'll skip you. Oscar, looking around with a total of a 9 for your perception check, you actually look around and you see faces that you are familiar with from, again, appropriate training, reading in books, so on and so forth, and oh, they aged, stuff like that, but nobody that you're like, I'm friendly with this person. Because you've only just received the rank that requires, because again, a magister could promote you to the rank you were beforehand. Now it has to be only a savant can promote you, or a noble can promote you to a magister at this point. And not just any savant. It has to be a savant that serves the central part of the nation, that serves within Heplon. So this is kind of the time of your life and rank where you would start to meet these people. So, like I said, faces look familiar. You think you know the names of them, but,
Yeah. Fair
Doxy,
enough.
with your intelligence check of 15 and 3 stunt points, how do you care to spend those stunt points?
Okay, one sec. I thought I had 4. Fuck.
It's really gonna take
You
a bit. for these
can't
stuff points.
flirt with everyone in the room.
It wasn't flirt that I wanted to use.
All right. Fair
Don't
enough.
underestimate her, sir.
Well, fair, honestly. Fair.
While she's thinking, I do want to say to everybody in chat right now that we will be adding a whole new table of stunt options for them and expanding on the table here. The new table of stunt options are literally just going to be like homebrew, like a whole different homebrew, like just like a different, almost like a miscellaneous or whatever. Maybe we'll make multiple tables. These kind of things will start with patrons over on Patreon. There'll be like the votes tier. People will be able to make votes on what we're going to add in there, but also suggestions that you guys make in chat as we pick them up, and Doxy will see one that she loves. Oh my god, I love that XYZ said this. We should totally make that a thing, and she'll start championing it and eventually convince me because she's Doxy. And Josh will see one that somebody suggests, and I'll tell him no because he's Josh. So, you know.
It's fair. It's fair.
Did you come up with something, Dox?
Okay, so bear with me on it. If you won't allow it, then that's fine. I'm gonna go with sway the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Your interpersonal efforts are so effective that they spill over onto others in the area, and you affect one additional person of your choice past the original target.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be the queen. I want to use that on the queen, and it will be that she recognizes that I recognize my father at her side.
He's not there.
Augustine Heathgart
Is not there.
Mm.
Explicitly said that he's not. Spoiler alert!
Fair enough. That sucks that I just spoiled that. Fuck. Okay.
Delete the vlog.
That was a bomb that was just dropped, and I'm a little bit shocked.
Well, I guess I would use it on whoever is next to her, whoever is like advising her, right? In this whatever council she has with her.
Mm-hmm.
So I get a +1. 1 second.
Remember, people, don't trust Doxy with your secrets.
Oh, Scott.
Or do. It depends if you want them to be secrets anymore or not.
Oh, just anything that I succeed in with the queen also succeeds with them, and I think vice versa as well. Your interpersonal.
So more or less, you want to just have a bit more of a sway. That they're just kind of like when you look about, there's a recognition of everybody around there. Maybe even slight head nods to people that you know, or potentially have serviced before as a muse. And as you kind of like look around that room and you give that knowing look and maybe even little nods, and maybe it's even to one person that kind of like half wink that you know that they know that you know that they know what that means. That the queen herself will recognize that and be like, this is no small person, which she probably knew to a degree because she invited you here. But to almost solidify that and add a bit more of an awe of you to her. Okay, understand that entirely. Is there a mechanical benefit of this beyond my role-playing it, or no? If not, that's fine.
It's just role play for sure.
Perfect. Okay, so as you guys go walking into the room, the information that I just said to you, you figure out, one of the things that you notice is the queen herself looks about the room with a degree of a practiced wisdom as she kind of gazes upon not just the three of you, but also the others that might be in the room here too. People that chose to come and witness this interaction, this meeting. As she's looking about the room, you guys notice that way she sits, poised to her grace. Someone who's been trained from a very young age to present herself the way she is. A young age she hasn't really left. As a matter of fact, her 16th birthday is tomorrow. She's incredibly young. And that's very obvious again. As you can see...
Would Chrisellen know that it's her birthday tomorrow?
You probably would, yes.
Okay, then she would be brandishing a bottle of wine as a gift from
you probably wouldn't deliver it in this situation. Probably be delivered before afterwards, or have been delivered beforehand prior to your arrival here this morning.
Okay, it would have been delivered beforehand then.
You know. So as she's looking about the room, taking in all of you, like I said, with the practiced wisdom in her eyes, so on and so forth, you can clearly tell the youth of her face because her almond-shaped eyes against her ebony skin has not even the slightest wear, not even the slightest wrinkle, any sign that this person has much maturity to them. But she presents herself extremely well. That piercing green look, that telltale sign of her family, someone born without magic in their blood. That's the first sign. Someone born with green eyes of her family line, that there is no magic in her blood. You see that she's looking upon you guys. It's almost a judging stare, but not a negative one. Like judging herself. Her own decisions were right. It's silent for a few moments as she gathers her thoughts.
I imagine that as we all approached, we all would have taken a knee as well.
The appropriate
and
kind of
waited for her to address us before we got up.
the appropriate action to do, of course. The two of you, being subjects of hers, definitely would be expected to take a knee. It's also respectful for someone who is a guest in her home, since she was the age of 6. Should probably do so as well.
Yeah, I would. There would be a moment though when Laszlo would kind of smirk to himself, thinking about like the 6-year-old that he met all those years ago, and now this person is the one that is ruling over his life.
At one point in time, and I know this is funny to say, she was shorter than you.
It hurts because that's real.
Aww.
Is your daughter already taller than you, Josh?
Wow.
At 2, impressive.
Good genes.
Yeah.
Levi. So you take a knee, whatever it is. She will finally gives you the look, whatever. Trying to get back into my flow here.
Just a note: Oscar would put his spear down in front of him as well.
What? You don't like brandish it like threateningly?
Well, no, because it's on his back right now. But still, kneeling down, having it point out, is still an aggressive directive. So he would take it out and lay it down before him and kneel properly.
That being said, actually, it does remind me, one of the things that you would note, Josh, is that this is the first time you don't have 2 Venusaurs standing behind you.
Just one Master Venator
Next to you.
that has this, spear out.
But they're not behind you with them brandished. You're safe.
Because that matters. I know how good they are at combat.
Oh.
I don't know what you're talking about. You've never seen me fight.
So anyways, so you, as she's sitting there looking around the room, blah, 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 and she looks down at the 3 of you, she finally says, welcome to the capital of my home. Welcome to the capital of your home. Please, arise. Each of you guys stand up, of course, and wait for her to continue speaking. One of the things I do want to point out, because I don't think I've actually officially said it to all of you, the queen before you, her name is Lucilia Junta. Junta, of course, being the family name, the sorceress bloodline name, Lucilia being her name. So Queen Lucilia or Queen Junta, or just Her Highness, Her Majesty. She says, I'm sure there are many questions as to why it is that I've called the 3 of you to come before me today. 3 of you with your backgrounds stand and kneel side by side with me. Unfortunately, I am not going to be able to question. But I will say that it is due to a great purpose. All of you have spent some time here in Malta, serving it to one degree or another, providing for its citizens, services, information, understanding, whatever it may be. But perhaps not realizing exactly how dire of straits might be. Each of you keenly aware of the erection of the wall almost 11 years ago, eastern border. what we could do to hold the flow of Paradel's soul from entering into our lands any more than they had. Trying to liberate our people from our ways. Slave them to their I imagine none of you have seen that wall. So many years, ever. I'll tell you this. Our capital city suffers. Our people suffer. Our soldiers on the front lines suffer. Due to a lack of resources required in all magical abilities and might we have implored generations past. Because all of these resources have been diverted to that wall to maintain it. We have begun recruiting all of our soldiers. No longer mandatory for 2 years at the age of 16. Honor. Every Maltese citizen is able to enjoy, unless of course are burdened with a higher stature at a younger age, and unfortunately will not be able to serve a Maltese to that magnitude. And so, exchange, what I intend to do for my throne is to have every decision I make be one that benefits all of Malta, return the favor to them, giving me the opportunity to sit here, not to have a sword. Those resources diverted there, with undertrained 2 young mages, pouring all of their life power into to keep it standing strong. Despite that fact, this past winter still had waters flowing from it. What do you think? Summer, a month away, it's going to. The mists that'll come off of it, flow of water. How long until it cracks? How long until it crumbles? How long until we have Paradise soldiers at the very gate of the city that part of our jewel? Each of you has incredible of talent, dedication to your. Perhaps if you look to your left or to your right, you might question or judge that person, what kind of dedication they have, skill they have, or what they've sacrificed to earn the right to be. Cast your judgments aside. I tell you, I've sacrificed much. For that sacrifice, I ask more. More sacrifice. There are a number of tasks that I would like for you to crown for the kingdom, people, help keep us from collapsing entirely into ruin. But these tasks are for you alone to understand. Perhaps you know what these are. And she gestures, what one of these are. She gestures to her side as you see one of the persons at her side, not a noble, but a guard, will actually walk forward, pulling out from underneath their cloak. Each of you, of course, in real life has held like a hand mirror, or at least gotten a haircut and seen the hairdresser hold it behind you so you can see if the lineout's good, right? But this is not like a typical hand mirror that you would hold that has maybe an oblong or like almost kind of like a rounded trapezoid kind of shape to it, right? It's kind of strange. It almost looks like a splinter of glass. If any of you have ever broken glass before and picked up a shard, you know it makes like an obtuse triangle, right? Like where it has kind of like a long straight edge, and it kind of comes down and juts back in. What makes this like kind of like a shard of glass that's there and has a frame around it and a handle, again, like I said, on it. The sharpest points, the longest point of the shard of glass, down by where the handle is, kind of coming out somewhat into the handle itself, and the widest point of the triangle being up at top. It's not a particularly wide piece. It is a little bit long, but nonetheless holds a mirror and brings it forward. As to whether or not any of you have ever heard of this before, I need a magical lore check. Arcane lore. All of you have arcane lore? Oh, no. Doxy didn't roll yet. Or did you? Okay, no, she. The two of you have arcane lore. So, Laszlo, you have a 15, 2 stunt points. Oscar, you have an 11, 2 stunt points. And Doxy, you have a 15. Do you guys care to spend your stunt on anything particular, or just move on? Okay. So, I will say, everybody here, both Laszlo from literally being privy to the books that talk about the creation of them, Doxy having actually interacted with them in her past. However, Oscar, your check is not high enough. Do you want to spend those stunt points, see if it does anything? You're muted.
You're muted. Hey Scott, I think your gate is cutting you off when you get too quiet, because the people in chat was saying that they couldn't hear you in certain spots.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I just have to change my gate. Did you guys get the total gist of what it was that I was saying as I was speaking lowly? Actually changed where my mic is placed too.
So, probably just spend a couple points on advantageous positioning to try and get a better look at what it is, essentially. For my stuff.
Sure. It's as I described it beforehand. I don't think that would necessarily.
Probably not, but I don't know what else I could spend it on at this point to make a difference, realistically. I'm assuming this is an exploration piece at this point.
Yeah, kind of. And don't worry about that if you can't figure it out. That's not the end.
I'm sure I'm about to be told anyways, so I'm not really too bothered.
Yeah, he just told me that music's a little too loud. I can do that too. It's pretty quiet, but all right. So, anyways, so you do not see. So you don't figure it out. That's fine. The two of you that do, you guys actually know this is a shard. It's called a shards of reflection. So understanding what this is, Doxy from perspective, shards of reflection. What it is literally a mirror that has within it the persona of an individual that was at its, and you can literally speak to this conversations thing. Here's the conversation. That it's wonderful because you've actually been able to carry one of the, or not personally, like with the whatever troop that you were training with at age of matron of the school that you were. I'm still cutting out for some reason. Very unusual. I'm just going to turn off my cutting. That's very unusual.
Yeah, you sound fine in Zoom.
It's not a Zoom gate. It's a.
I know. I'm saying like it's obviously the gate in Streamlabs.
Yep, that's fine. So that should pick up my volume a considerable amount. The two things that just changed. So anyways, you wait. It's happening again. Am I still cutting out to you guys? Because that would
remember the delay. They wouldn't. You just turned it off.
I was gonna say it shouldn't happen at this point. So, anyways, I'm just looking at the timestamps, and so maybe it's just right as a minute. You sound better. Cool. Thanks, Docs. Rena, you're the same person. Don't lie. It's a different background. So you you've interacted with one of these beforehand when you brought like a Matreon had sent this for the speaking to another Matreon or to add in some of the lessons that you were learning with blah 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 beforehand. So literally there's a shard where you can speak to another Matreon or she can give lessons. And again, you can have full conversations with this as though the person was there with you looking at them in the mirror. And they remember the conversation, so on and so forth. What was the question?
So it's a Skype call with the memory of a person.
It seems like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
That's actually a really good way to describe it, sure. However, Laszlo, you, sir, a little bit different description. You actually know that these things, when they're created, are literally created. It's a very arduous process to do. When one is created, the person that it makes the copy of or whatever, that person is very drained and takes them upwards of a week to fully rejuvenate from the action of doing so. And when these mirrors are made, the whole mirror, which generally speaking, they're made inside, a decent size, like a mirror that you'd put over a bureau, but not like a huge squared one, like almost like a round mirror you'd put over a bureau. Usually made in that size. As far as you understand, they last indefinitely, as far as your research has told you, questions you've asked here in Malta, because you've never seen this before in urination. They last indefinitely, or at least nobody's ever seen one expire before. However, if at the time of creation, they are broken into shards, each individual shard also carries the same exact memory, independent of other shards. Now, the cool thing is the two shards don't necessarily interact with one another and allows you to take this one memory and spread it out to other people. So you can actually have many instances of one person, which is really nice. The downside is when you break it into shards, it has limited use. You probably wouldn't notice it at first, but slowly as it's done, it degrades the mirror. Not necessarily like surface down, not necessarily outside in, but just slowly the materials that make up the mirror kind of wisp away. In such minute amounts you wouldn't even be able to perceive it with the naked eye. Maybe a particularly perceptive person who's detecting magic at the time might be able to as it's being used, maybe. And so eventually it breaks down and it crumbles and it has no more value to it. And anything that was stored or spoken to or anything that is gone, is lost. So these are very useful because they're independent of the other ones, right? Last detail I'll give to you, Josh, is you know that they're comprised of quicksilver. Quicksilver is by and far one of the most rare and expensive ingredients for magic that exist in Aroth. And it is, of course, one of the ingredients that is mined in Ascaria. So where it is that they would have a depth of quicksilver, maybe it was from before the war. Maybe they have an old stockade of it. Who knows? Nobody's to judge. But quicksilver is one of those things where because quicksilver at room temperature, like a typical temperature, causes it to evaporate, you see it in liquid form, and it could evaporate over the course of several days, like a puddle of it over the course of several days will complete just at room temperature. These mirrors are always very cold to the touch, as they're magically enchanted to be very, very, very cold to help drop the temperature to keep it solid for as long as possible, right? Anyways, so you know that using the mirror warms it up, which causes the evaporation and blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So they're walking over with one of these shards and giving it to you. You have no idea what this is, Oscar. The other two of you very much understand what it is to one degree or another. And it's presented to you by this person, by this soldier. Who takes it?
I feel like I would.
Okay. You reach down and you take it, and she says, within that mirror, this is killing me, that Docs are killing me right now. Within that,
What?
You'll learn. Within that mirror, you will find everything that you need to know about the tasks that I have for you. Within that mirror, you will find my military advisor himself. Savant and noble, August Heathgart.
So should I do like some sort of constitution save to see if I drop the mirror out of shock?
I wouldn't say constitution. That would be a willpower. But I would, if you care to do this, I'm going to set the DC extremely low. DC is 5.
Okay.
That's nigh impossible to fail. She failed.
I did not fail.
So anyways.
It looks like, as a matter of fact, doubling the DC, I completely keep my cool.
Yep. So yeah, you, like you said, you keep your cool. And other people might be able to pick up a slight change this way. Not these two. They're very much enamored with what's going on in front of them and whatnot, but maybe somebody else in the room does. I suppose for that, I'll actually have you roll a communications check, and this is your ability to almost like hide your composure against other people's perception.
I wish there was a composure.
I think
Communications composure is actually
Oh.
a specialty, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is a legit thing.
Yep. And so a 13 is pretty solid. Very likely nobody picked up what you, because there's a distance and distraction, the queen speaking and blah, 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 right? So anyway, so you take the piece, she says that, and she says, but as he gives to you the information that you need to succeed in your tasks, what I will tell you is this. Every action that you take will be something that aids our kingdom. Now, I do apologize. I perhaps rambled on for some time. I've practiced my speech. I'm sure there is an amount of question each of you might have. Is there? And she actually looks specifically and first to the one she knows the best. Laszlo. Maybe surprising to the two of you.
Not based on the interaction we had earlier with the guards.
So the first thing Laszlo says, he says, my queen, thank you for calling this my home. Yeah. How old is the shard? How strong is it?
It has only been used once. Just once for me to inform the advisor to advise. It was crafted only a few months ago.
That's all I need to know. Thank you.
She nods, and then we'll look over to who's standing next to you. I imagine you were standing on the end. Who's in the middle? Chrysalin?
I'm sure that it's Chrysalin.
Yep. Damn it. We're just going to go with Chrysalin.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would actually, I'm like kind of lovingly cradling this thing. I would pass it off to Oscar.
He would take it without any question. He doesn't know what this is, so at this point he's just holding a mirror.
I would nod to him and be like, best you make communication. What manner of tasks, may I ask, will be asked of us? I'm afraid that I'm not gifted with magic nor bow.
The first task that is for each of you, and again the details will come from therein, is for you to head south to the border. Unfortunately, our neighbors, our allies, perception roll. Perception with the empathy.
Empathy?
Mm-hmm. And you get a little bit extra there, sir. Oh, Jesus!
Crap, a 20?
That's a critical in every way! Oh my God!
Well done.
Doxy, she just comes down there and says, shh, we'll have fun.
She's 16. No.
Oh, yeah. No. So she's not even 16. She's 16 tomorrow.
I'm going to flirt. No, I'm just kidding.
Good, with the 16-year-old, not even 16-year-old queen.
She waits till tomorrow.
God, I think that's so many.
I love oh man. Oh, in Josh, you got 9. You got a 9 with 2 stunt. And you got your 20. Doxy, how are you going to spend them, if at all? Because you're definitely getting info in a second.
So quickly, I would use with a flourish. So when she said I'm not talented with either magic nor bow, just the way that she said that, that it was like humbling, I guess. And then also, do I get to spend all 6 of the points between 2 stunts, or do I have to choose one?
Nope.
Okay. I would also use Speedy Search to glimpse in the mirror and hope for a look at Augustine.
So when you look into the mirror, you would see a figure deep down inside the mirror, kind of like stepped away. If you've ever played kind of like, so again, almost like pulled back like a good distance away. It's almost like if you've ever played Assassin's Creed, you would sometimes see like during like the loading scenes, somebody almost seemed like far away. You kind of like run through the ether or through the nothing, and then they'd be closer as you're synchronizing, right? Kind of like that. He almost seems like far away and not quite there. But you imagine you can call him to you if you were holding the mirror and wanted to, right? As for the with a flourish, I actually didn't. Oh, now I see it. Your manner of success. You have a +1 opposed tests. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to say to you and to, because of all your prior stuff that you did before Will, is both of you guys realize, and also Will, you have a bit of prior information. Oscar is a soldier. He understands a lot of stuff that happens in the war. Blah blah. When she says our allies, our neighbors to the south, our allies, you know that there is a tone of disdain, and certainly is not her true opinion of Yovance, of the nation to the south. And you probably understand why, but we don't need to lore dump any further for that at the moment. We have the mission to do that. But there is definitely a bit of like a disdain or almost snark in the way that she says our allies to the south. Our neighbors to the south, our allies, they're losing the war handedly. They've only been kept on their feet because of the aid of our Gish. And it seems like that aid might not be enough any longer. Our allies need further aid, if aid can be given. But perhaps things can be returned as well. I dare not say any more. I wish for you to understand that there are many tasks to be done that require all of your expertise. And from what I understand, you are quite the expert at what you do. Says to Griselin. That was genuine.
Any more modest woman would have blushed.
Yeah.
But Griselin just simple curtsies.
Okay. Lord, don't me, baby. And then she will turn her gaze over to Oscar and actually opens up with, "Congratulations on your promotion."
Thank you. He bows, not like too far, but deeply to that in just a very deferent respect. And as he rises again, he says, "At this time, I don't have any questions, but I thank you for the opportunity."
She kind of like brings her gaze to look more generally at you guys, kind of bouncing between you afterwards, and says, "And then I say thank you for traveling as far as you did, or being as patient as you have for as long as it's been to be here this day. I hope that the decisions that we make lead us to a path of victory, of salvation, of peace. And is it too far to ask for prosperity as well? May the gods, goddesses, or whatever it is you choose to put your faith in, watch over you with each step that you take. And may that be a step to the glory of Malta." And she just kind of like, not leans back in her chair, but you can see she changes her posture ever so slightly enough to almost like relax. Like, once again, for those of you that are more perceptive and empathetic and whatnot that rolled higher, you can see that she seems more, I did it. You know what I mean? Each of you know that her grandfather died, what did I say, about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. She was 14 when he died. She was 14 when she ascended to the throne. She's turning, 13. End of 13, my apologies. When he died and she ascended to the throne. She's turning 16 tomorrow. I mean, that is a lot on the shoulders of a child. But, be as it may, she's making through. Imagine the three of you leave.
Yeah.
Actually down on one knee again until she dismisses me.
Precisely.
I'm sure. I mean, whatever formality that part doesn't, So, so and it's kind of like, she kind of did dismiss with, the steps and the to the glory of Amalta, and then you guys are welcome. The doors will open behind you, and you would know that you can leave. You can give it a bow or a curtsy or whatever it is that you care to do, unless you care to say anything of beyond just general like decorum of import. Before you leave, your characters can leave.
Not of import, but she would look back and she would say, "Do enjoy the wine. Happy birthday, Your Majesty."
She will actually, when you say that, it's one of those things where maybe this is a little disheartening for you, but again, you rolled high enough to pick up these cues. You see she turns her chin slightly to the side, her eyes look to somebody else, who gives a bit of a nod, and then she looks back to you and says, "I'm sure it's going to be the most excellent vintage." She clearly had no idea that she'd received wine yet. Thanks. It's like when my mom asks me, "Oh, that's a really cute toy, Rory got. Who gave it to her?" I don't know. Ask my wife. She's like, "You're the worst." I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't concern myself with my family. Are you kidding me?
Like, why are you buying her toys? Like, don't buy her toys. Don't buy her stuffed animals. I swear I could heat this house for a year purely off the flames of burning her stuffed animals. Okay, like, I hate stuffed animals. Give them to the dog. We'll just
All the
cuddle with
stuffed
them.
animals. If you ever get to P.O. Box, all the stuffed animals.
No. Oh, Midori, I don't know if you're watching or not, but Midori, I actually just today, not even joking, I was looking for my Xbox for Rory to play a drawing game. I found my Lost Initiative, my Otto and Thonk and the other characters. I found a little thing.
Oh, well done. That's good.
Grommen and Rye. Got them. I found them. Moving on. So, yeah, you guys turn, and as you leave the throne room, probably having questions for each other yourselves, or just maybe glad for the situation to be over, or kind of disappointed that it's over. I mean, it was wonderful that you got the invite, but what are these tasks, and there's questions, and things that we can deal with when we come back. So, everybody, we're going to take a break really quickly, and when we come back, we'll see how the party actually intermingles for the first time. Goodbye. I really hope I didn't fuck up that sound.